We continue now at the top of Daf Chav Chesam and Beis and Meseches Menachos. This is Menachos Daf 28b. The Gemara continues with the Brisa. The Brisa began Kol HaKelim, all of the vessels She'asa Moshe, that Moshe made for the Mishkan, Kesherim Lo, they're kosher for him, Ukesherim Ladoros, and they're kosher for all generations. But Chatzotzros, when it comes to the trumpets, Kesheros Lo, those were kosher for him, Upsulos Ladoros, but those were disqualified for future generations. And the Gemara says Chatzotzros, my time, and what's the reason why Chatzotzros are an exception? Why are they puzzle for future generations? Ilema Damar Akra, if you're going to say it's because the pasuk says Asay Lecha, make for yourself, so it sounds like only for Moshe Rabbeinu, Lecha velo Ladoros, for yourself and not for generations. Elamayata, but according to that argument, V'asisa Lecha Aron Eitz, it uses the word Lecha also by the Aron, it says make for yourself an Aron. Hachanami here also, the Lecha velo Ladoros, are you going to say it's just for you and not for all generations? The Aron was for all generations. Ella rather, Ilaman da'amar lecha mishalecha, either according to the one who says that the word lecha means from your own property, Ilaman da'amar kiviyachol b'shalecha ani rotze yoser mishalehem, or there's another man da'amar that understands lecha to mean not that it comes from your own funding, but rather that I want yours, I desire yours, it says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, more than them. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu. So according to either one of those understandings, hainami mi boy le'lahachi, that's what the lecha is over here as well. That's what it is for. But the reason why it's different by the Chatzotzros is for a different reason. Shani Hasam, it's different over there. Diyamar Kra Lecha Lecha Trei Zimni. It says, the pasuk says Lecha twice. Asay Lecha V'hayu Lecha. It says Asay Lecha and it says V'hayu Lecha. And since it says it twice by the Chatzotzros, that's why we understand Psulos Ledoros. That's why they are disqualified for future generations. And Rashi explains, Elo Asi Hai Lecha. This Lecha, what is it really for? Either according to the Mandamar who says in the first sugi in Meseches Yuma lecha mishalecha, lecha means mishalecha, it has to be from your own funds, it has to be from your own money. Ilamandamar, or there's another Mandamar that says kiviyachol im haya efshar lihipater tzibor b'shal yachid b'shalcha hayisi rotze yoser mishalahem. What it means to say is HaKadosh Baruch Hu was saying, if it was possible not to take from the communal funds and instead to take from the yachid, from the individual, so says HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu, I would want it to come directly from you, but again, it is not indicating that it's possible Doros, that it's possible for all generations. That is derived from the fact that Lecha is written twice by the Chatzotzros. And Rashi continues, Shani Hasam, it's different over there, Gabe Chatzotzros, by the Chatzotzros, Diyamar Kra Lecha Lecha Trei Zimni, because there the pasuk says Lecha twice, and so therefore again, we derive from that the disqualification in future generations. And the Gemara continues, Tani Rav Papa B'Reider Rav Chanin Kamed Rav Yosef. Rav Papa, the son of Rav Chanin, taught a brisa in front of Rav Yosef. Menorah haisa ba min ha'eshes min hazav. The menorah came min ha'eshes again. That means it comes from one block, and again it comes from one block of gold. And asa shel kesef keshera. The brisa says if it's made of silver, if the menorah is made of silver, it's kosher. Shel batz v'shel ever v'shel gisteron. If it is made of tin or lead or other types of metal, Rebbe posel v'Rebbe Yossi Rebbe Yehuda machshir. Rebbe says it's possible, and Rabbi Yossi Rebbe Yehuda says it's kosher. Shel eitz v'shel etzem v'shel zechuchas, if it's made of wood or bone or glass, devrei hakol psula, then everybody agrees that it is disqualified. And so essentially in this brisa, there's a machlokas tanoim with regards to other types of metal, and with regards to non-metal, according to this brisa, everybody agrees it's disqualified. Amar lei, so he said to him, Rav Yosef said to Rav Papa B'Reider Rav Chanin, my daitach, what is your explanation of this brisa? Amar lei, he said to him, bein maru vein mar, whether this one, whether that one, klalu prate darshi, they are both darshaning the form of drasha known as klalu prat, generalization and specification. Miu, nevertheless, mar savar, one holds, mahaprat mefurash shal mateches, just like what is specified, which is gold, that is made out of metal, af kol shal mateches, so too it has to be something that is made out of metal, and that is the opinion of Rabbi Yossi Rebbe Yehuda, and that's why metal is okay. Umar savar, but the other opinion holds, and that's the opinion of Rebbe, mahaprat mefurash davar chashav, just like what is specified is something that is important, af kol davar chashav, so too it has to be something that is important, and according to that, again according to Rebbe, if it's made out of tin or lead or other types of metal, that is not considered chashav, and that's why it is pasul. Amar lei, so he said to him, Rav Yosef said back to Rav Papa B'Reider Rav Chanin with regards to his explanation of the brisa, Samei didach mekame didi, remove your version of the brisa and instead take my version. The Tanya, as we learned in in a brayse as follows: Klei shares sha'asan shel eitz. If a klei shares is made out of wood, and the assumption over here is this will extend to the menorah as well. If it's made out of wood, Rebbe posel, Rebbe says it's posel, it's disqualified. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda machshir, and Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda says it's kosher. In other words, according to this version of the brayse, it's not that everybody agrees if it's made out of wood that it is disqualified. Rather, that is the machlokas tanoim. When it's made out of wood, is it disqualified? And again, when it comes to metal, everyone will agree that it is kosher. And according to this version of the brayse, b'mai kamiflagi, what are they arguing about? Rebbe darish klal uprati. Rebbe darshans in the fashion of klal uprat, generalizations and specifications. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda darish ribuye umayute. And Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, he darshans the psukim as inclusions and exclusions, which is called ribuy and miut. And the Gemara continues and explains, Rebbe darish klal uprati. Rebbe darshans klal uprat as follows: V'yasisa menoras. The pasuk says v'yasisa menoras klal. That is a generalization. Zahav tar. Then it says you make the menorah out of pure gold. Prat. That is a specification. And miksha teyasa hamenorah. Then the pasuk says miksha teyasa hamenorah chazar uklal. That's another generalization. And klal uprat uklal. When you have a generalization, specification, generalization, iatodon elokein aprat. You have to say that we include anything that is similar to what was specified. Mahaprat meforesh shal Meseches, just like what was specified, gold is made out of metal. Afkol shal Meseches, so too we include anything that is made out of metal, and that accounts for Rebbe's understanding again that Rebbe says if it's made out of wood, it is possible, it has to be made out of metal. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda darish ribuye u'miute, but Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, he darshans in the fashion of ribuy and miut, which is inclusions and exclusions, the same psukim, but he darshans in a different fashion as follows: V'yasisa menoras. Again, it says in the pasuk v'yasisa menoras riba, that is an inclusion. Zahav tar. Then it says zahav tar miet. That's an exclusion. Miksha teyasa hamenorah. Then it says miksha teyasa hamenorah chazar v'riba. That's another inclusion. And the way we darshan in those situations, riba umiet v'riba, when we have an inclusion, an exclusion, and an inclusion, riba hakol, we're actually including everything or almost everything, as we'll see in a moment. Umay rabbi, and what's being included, rabbi kol mili, we're including everything. Umay miet, and what's being excluded, only something that is the most not fit for the klei shares is being excluded. Miet shel cheres, we exclude making the vessel out of earthenware. And the Gemara continues, Adrab, on the contrary, Sami didach mekame didi, maybe we should remove your brisa instead of my brisa. And the Gemara continues, Lo sal gadaitach, don't let that enter your mind. The Tanya, as we learned in a brisa, Ein lo zav, if he doesn't have gold, maybe af shel kesef, shel nechoshes, shel barzel, he can bring even silver and copper and iron, v'shel bedil, v'shel ofares, or tin or lead. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda machshir, af b'shel eitz. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda says it's kosher even with wood. And the Gemara continues, V'tanya idach, and we learned in another brisa, Lo yasa adam bayis tavnes heichal, a person should not build a house with the exact same dimensions as the heichal of the Beis HaMikdash, or achsadra, or a portico keneged ulam, which corresponds to the same form as the entrance hall of the Beis HaMikdash, or chatzar keneged azar, a person shouldn't build a courtyard that corresponds exactly to the azar of the Beis HaMikdash, or shulchan keneged shulchan, a table made like the table in the Beis HaMikdash, menorah keneged menorah, a menorah made like the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash. Aval osa hu shel chamisha v'shel shisha v'shel shmona, he is allowed to make a menorah that has 5 branches or 6 branches or 8 branches. V'shel shiva lo yaseh, he should not make it of 7 branches, because again that's the same as in the Beis HaMikdash. V'afilu mishar minei matchas, and even to make it of other kinds of metals is problematic, because the menorah could be made from other kinds of metals. Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda says, af shel eitz lo yaseh, he shouldn't even make the menorah out of wood, kederach because even even a menorah made out of wood is okay, and that's what we find by the Malchei Beis Chashmonai, the kings in the times of the Chashmonaim. They made the menorah out of wood. Amru lo, they said to him, Misham Raya, you're bringing a proof from there, from the times of the Chashmonaim, that they made it out of wood. It's not true. Shafudim shel barzel hayu was actually made out of spits of iron, v'chipum bebats, and it was covered with tin, and it looked like it was wood, but it actually was not made out of wood. And Hashira, when they became more wealthy, Asom shel kesef, then they did make it out of silver. And Chazru v'Hashira, when they became even more wealthy, Asom shel zav, they made it out of gold. And the point over here is that from this brisa as well, we see that the machlokas tanoim is with regards to wood. And the Gemara continues, Amar Shmuel Mishmei Desaba, Shmuel said in the name of an elder, Gova shel menorah, the height of the menorah, Shmona Asar Tvachim, it was 18 Tvachim, Haraglayim v'haperach, the base of the menorah, and the flower, Gimel Tvachim, that was 3 Tvachim, then Utvachayim Cholak, then there was 2 Tefach that were blank, there was nothing there, it just rose 2 more Tvachim, V'tefach shebo Gevia v'kafter v'ferach, and then there was a Tefach that had Gevia, kafter v'ferach, which again refers to a goblet, a knob, and a flower, Utvachayim Cholak, and then there were another 2 tefach that were blank. V'tefach kaftor, then there was a tefach of a kaftor of a knob. Ushnei konim yotzim mimenu, and there were 2 branches that went out from that knob. Echad elach v'echad elach, one in this direction, one in the other direction. V'nimshachin v'olen keneged gova shel menorah, they extended according to the height of the menorah, and so those were the 2 outermost branches of the menorah. V'tefach cholak, then there was a tefach that was blank again. V'tefach kaftor, and again there was a tefach with a knob. Ushnei konim yotzim mimenu, and again there were 2 branches that went out from that knob, echad elach v'echad elach, one this way and one that way. Nimshachin v'olin keneged gova shel menorah, again they went up all the way to the height of the menorah. V'tefach cholak, then there was another tefach that was blank. V'tefach kaftor, and there was a tefach with a knob. Ushnei konim yotzim mimenu, and again there were 2 more branches that went out from that knob. Echad elach v'echad elach, one this way and one that way. V'nimshachin v'olin keneged gova shel menorah, and they continued to go up all the way to the top, to the height of the menorah. Utvachayim cholak, and then there was another 2 tefach that were blank. And nishtayru sham gimel tvachim, and there remained there 3 tvachim shebehen gimel gevian v'kafter v'ferach, and in those 3 tvachim there were 3 goblets and 1 knob and 1 flower. Ugevian lamahin domen, and the gevian, the goblets, what were they similar to? Kimin kosos Alexandrium, they were like the Alexandrian goblets. And kaftorim lamahin domen, what were the knobs similar to? Kimin tapuche hakresim, they were like the kresim apples. And parachim lamahin domen, what were the flowers similar to? Kimin pirche ho'amudin, they were like the flowers that were etched on columns. V'nimtzu gevian esrim ushnayim, in total it came out that there were 22 goblets. Kaftorim achar osar, there were 11 knobs. Parachim tisha, there were 9 flowers. Geviim ma'akvin zeh, the number of goblets they are required for one another. If one is missing, it's like they're all missing. Kaftorim ma'akvin zeh, the same with the knobs, they are ma'akiv one another. Parachim ma'akvin zeh, the flowers are ma'akiv one another. And Geviim kaftorim uparachim, the goblets, the knobs, and the flowers, ma'akvin zeh, they're all required for one another. And the Gemara continues, Bishlama Gevim, I understand the goblets, Esrim Ushnayim, the total is 22. Dechsiv, because it's written in the Pasuk, Uva Menorah Arba Gevim, it says there are 4 on the menorah. Uchsiv, and it's also written, Shlosha Gevim Mishukadim, Bakono Ha'echad Kaftor V'ferach. It says there were 3 Gevim, made like almond blossoms on one branch, and a knob and a flower. And so we total it up, Arba Dida, that is 4 on the main shaft of the menorah, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chav Tes Amud Aleph.